The morning sunlight poured through courtroom windows. But Cynthia Marshall wasn't in court yet. She was in her brownstone, reviewing case files, when the sudden shouts and gunfire outside made the walls tremble. Drop to the ground. Don't move. 3 officers had fired, 3 bullets ripping to the front of her home, leaving splinters and smoke. Cynthia, age 48, black, tall and poised, with sharp, commanding eyes, stood motionless, her hands clenched over the file she had been reading. Her tailored suit was immaculate, her polished shoes gleaming. Calm, unshaken. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" she demanded, her voice cutting through chaos. The officers froze, expecting fear. Instead, they met judicial authority incarnate. One of them barked. "We receive a report. Someone fitting your description. Suspicious activity. We had to respond." Cynthia's gaze didn't waver. "You shot at a judge. Do you know who I am?" The young officer sneered, thinking intimidation would work. "We were just doing our job, ma'am." Cynthia's lips curled, not in anger, but in a quiet, lethal smile. "Then you failed your job before even pulling the trigger." A pause. A heartbeat. The officers realized too late. They had just targeted someone who had faced courts, verdicts, and criminals far worse than them. And today, they were about to meet true justice. Hello, everyone. Before we begin today's video, we want to thank you for your support, love, and kindness. We wouldn't have come this far without you. Subscribing is one of the best ways you can help us. It's quick, free, and allows us to continue bringing you great content. Your support means everything. Let's keep this channel growing collectively. Where are you watching from? Drop your city and country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to the story. The bullets had barely missed Cynthia as she calmly walked to the shattered doorway. Glass crunched underfoot. Wood splintered. Smoke lingered in the air, stinging her eyes slightly. Sergeant Darnell, tall, stocky, and red-faced with pride, barked orders. "Hands up. Don't move. You're under arrest for obstruction of police." Cynthia adjusted her blazer, her posture perfect, her calm unshaken. "Obstruction of police? You shot at me first. You destroyed my door. Explain that to me." The other 2 officers, Matthews and Collins, pointed their weapons, faces tense, sweat forming at their temples. "Just comply, ma'am," Matthews shouted, voice quivering. Cynthia's voice was steady, cold. "Comply? With what?" "With your incompetence." Her words landed like stones. The officers flinched. From windows above, residents gasped, some retreating, some frozen in horror. One elderly man muttered, "Is that Judge Marshall? They're shooting at her." Another whispered to his wife, "They think they can treat her like any other citizen. They have no idea who she is." Darnell shoved Cynthia lightly, expecting resistance. Instead, she stepped aside with precise control, letting him stumble slightly over the shattered threshold. "This is assault," she said sharply, each word a measured strike. Matthew's face turned pale as he realized this was not a citizen, not an ordinary person. This was a black woman who had ruled over courtrooms and controlled the fates of criminals. And here in her own home, she was unshaken, unflinching, and terrifying her calm authority. "You're making a huge mistake," she said quietly, almost a whisper. Darnell ignored her and tried to advance, gun still drawn. Cynthia stepped forward, and in a single motion, she grabbed his wrist, twisting it slightly, enough to make him drop the gun. A gasp rippled from the neighbors watching from above. "Ma'am!" Matthews shouted, backing up, panic rising. Cynthia's eyes bore into him. "Do you feel that? That's your arrogance cracking." Suddenly, from the street below, a city attorney approached, Deputy District Attorney Vanessa Reed. "Cynthia, are you all right?" Cynthia nodded, keeping her focus on the officers. "They just shot at me." Vanessa's face hardened. "I'm calling it in. You have my full support." Darnell stumbled back, realizing this wasn't just any black woman. This was a judge with connections, authority, and influence. The officers tried to regroup, shaking hands, pointing weapons nervously. Cynthia said calmly, "Step outside. Now, and listen carefully. Every word you hear is a lesson in justice." The officers froze, realizing she wasn't angry. She wasn't shouting. She was a storm, controlled, deliberate, unstoppable. She continued, You assumed my presence was a threat. You judged me on my skin, not my actions. You destroyed property, violated the law, and endangered lives. Within minutes, Cynthia left her brownstone, walking with measured, judicial authority down the streets of New York City. Residents on the sidewalks paused, whispering her name. Judge Marshall. Every step radiated power. Her heels clicked rhythmically against the pavement, a sound that seemed to declare law, order, and moral supremacy. She entered the courthouse, her entrance unannounced, and immediately the security officers froze. Judge Marshall? One whispered. Cynthia gave him a small nod. She didn't need words. Do your jobs, she said softly. Inside, the courtroom awaited. Her chamber was filled with colleagues, court clerks, and other judges. She did not raise her voice. She did not exaggerate. She simply walked to her bench, standing tall, commanding respect with every step. Meanwhile, word of the shooting had spread quietly through administrative channels. The officers who fired were still outside, unsure if they should enter the building. Cynthia's presence was enough. Her calm authority, her unshakable poise, her reputation as a fair but strict judge, all of it formed a moral armor that the officers could not penetrate. You will answer for your actions, she said quietly, addressing the officers indirectly. A hush fell. Every clerk, every fellow judge felt the weight of justice embodied. As Cynthia took her seat at the bench, her gaze swept the courtroom. She didn't need to raise her voice. She didn't need to yell. Her calm, measured presence already shattered the illusion of authority these officers thought they had. Minutes later, the true reckoning would begin. And when she spoke, the officers would realize the law is not something they enforce. The law is something they are subject to, just like everyone else. The courtroom was silent. Even the shuffling of papers seemed amplified. Cynthia Marshall, age 48, black, tall, commanding, with sharp eyes and a poised posture, rose to the bench. Her presence alone demanded attention. The three officers who had fired at her bullets, Darnell, Matthews, and Collins, sat nervously in the back row, their shoulders stiff, faces pale, every muscle betraying guilt and fear. Cynthia adjusted her blazer. Her hands moved deliberately, slowly emphasizing her control. Officers Darnell, Matthews, and Collins, she began, her voice cutting through the stillness like a scalpel. You took the law into your own hands this morning. You assumed I was a threat because of my skin. You fired at a federal judge in her home. You endangered lives and broke every principle your oath promised to uphold. She paused, letting each word sink in. The officers shifted uncomfortably, eyes darting, avoiding her gaze. Your actions were not mistakes, she continued. They were choices. Choices born from prejudice, arrogance, and an illusion of authority you do not possess. The gallery murmured quietly. Colleagues and court staff leaned forward, sensing the gravity. The officers attempted to respond, but Cynthia raised her hand, stopping them mid-word. Save your excuses, she said, calm yet unyielding. They are meaningless. Today, the law speaks through me, and your misjudgment will have consequences. She gestured to court clerk, who began calling for the immediate review of the officers' actions. Internal affairs had already been notified, and now every transcript, report, and testimony was laid before the court. The officers' previous confidence dissolved. Matthews whispered to Darnell, I didn't think it would go this far. Darnell's jaw tightened. We were just following a call. Cynthia's eyes met his with piercing intensity. Following a call does not give you the right to endanger a life. Not mine, not any citizen's. Your authority has limits, and today you have exceeded them. Cynthia walked down from the bench, moving with deliberate authority toward the officers. The gallery fell silent. Step forward, she commanded. Darnell obeyed first, hesitant, trembling. Matthews followed, Collins last. Their faces were pale, the weight of shame palpable. Do you understand why you are here? She asked. Darnell swallowed. Yes, ma'am. And yet you fired 3 bullets into my home. We thought, Matthews began. You thought? You acted without thought. And that thoughtlessness almost cost a life. Not my life alone, but anyone who could have been in that hallway at that moment. The courtroom absorbed the humiliation of the officers. Their once loud, confident stances now diminished, shrunken under Cynthia's unwavering gaze. "You will resign from active duty pending investigation," she continued. "Your careers as officers end here. And let this be a lesson. Authority is not power to act without accountability. It is the responsibility to protect and serve without prejudice." Gasps ran through the courtroom. Officers and civilians alike whispered. The three men sat, stunned, the weight of public and personal shame pressing down on them. Cynthia returned to the bench, now fully seated, her posture regal, her expression calm but fierce. "You presume my identity, my character, my authority based on my skin. That presumption is exactly what the law exists to prevent. Justice is blind, but it also demands courage from those who enforce it. You lack that courage today." The officers avoided eye contact, realizing that this was not a personal reprimand. It was a moral reckoning. Let this courtroom serve as a reminder to all. Prejudice is dangerous. Arrogance is lethal. Accountability is inescapable. After the formal reprimand, Cynthia invited the officers to the side in a rare private moment of guidance. "I will not ruin you beyond this," she said, quietly measured. "But you must understand the magnitude of your actions. Your oath is sacred. When you break it, you betray every citizen you are sworn to protect." Darnell, Matthews, and Collins nodded, visibly shaken. We understand, Judge Marshall. Truly." Cynthia's eyes softened slightly, her authority unwavering but tempered with wisdom. "Then take this as an opportunity to rebuild. Learn humility. Learn respect. Learn that the law is bigger than you, and the people it protects are more important than your ego." News spread quietly through the courthouse and city offices. While no cameras were involved, the moral weight of the story traveled via word of mouth. A black judge had faced down officers who had shot at her and had legally and morally ended their careers within minutes. Colleagues praised her courage and composure. Community members felt a renewed sense of faith in justice. Even the officers, though humiliated, recognized a life-changing lesson. The courtroom became a symbol, not of fear, but of measured, righteous authority. Cynthia's calm decisiveness had restored the balance of power and ensured that justice prevailed, without the need for public spectacle or viral attention. Weeks later, Cynthia returned to her chambers, reviewing cases as usual. She reflected quietly on the incident. "Authority is not the ability to intimidate or assume," she whispered to herself. "Authority is the responsibility to act with integrity, even when others fail." Her life had not changed materially. Her schedule, her duties, her responsibilities remained. But the moral weight of that morning, the courage to face danger calmly, the wisdom to let justice unfold, and the restraint to act only within the law, had reinforced her lifelong commitment to equity and fairness. She knew that the officers would carry this lesson forever, and she hoped that it would ripple outward, touching anyone in a position of authority. Power without accountability is dangerous. Justice requires courage, restraint, and integrity, and those who presume to act without wisdom will always meet the consequences. Cynthia Marshall's confrontation that morning became a quiet legend in the courthouse corridors, not because of bullets fired, but because of how justice, calm authority, and moral courage can dismantle arrogance and prejudice. The life-changing moral was simple yet profound. True power is not shown through intimidation or violence. True authority is shown through restraint, wisdom, and unwavering adherence to justice. When people in power act without integrity, the law and morality will always catch up. Every person who walked past the courthouse afterward remembered. It is better to act justly and courageously than to wield authority without conscience.